All right, welcome back. This is day 17 out of 30, recording a video every day for YouTube. Today we're getting into a very exciting topic, budgeting. So ever since Mint shut down, everyone's been trying to find a replacement app, and they haven't been really asking the right question, the one that actually matters, which is, do you want to plan your money before you spend it or watch it after it's gone? If you really get that wrong, no app will really stick. So here are 4 apps, 3 different philosophies among them. One is completely free and one refuses to run on Android on purpose. So let me go ahead and share my screen here and showcase the apps as well as their trade-offs, and hopefully this will help you choose maybe an app that aligns more with your philosophy so that you don't spend both time and money trying to configure something that you won't stick with. So let's go ahead and share the screen here. So no surprise, these are the top 4 apps, the most popular ones that are currently out there anyways. We got YNAB, we got EveryDollar, we got Monarch, and we got Copilot. If you are new to the budgeting space, these have been long-standing apps. YNAB and EveryDollar have been around for quite a bit. Monarch and Copilot are the newer ones, Copilot being one of the new techie ones. Ever since Mint died, all these users have been funneling into these, as well as many of the newer kind of AI-based budgeting systems to help kind of automate this otherwise very tedious process. And really, these apps have very different philosophies. So Plan First is the first philosophy. Essentially, it's based off zero-based budgeting, which is, some people call it the envelope system. It's essentially every dollar gets a job before the month starts. So this is kind of planning ahead and assigning your estimated paychecks ahead of time inside the app. And then as you get funding for those paychecks, every dollar already has a slot in the budget. Then we have the opposite side here, which is watch it for me. So in this case, it's more of a tracking thing. There's a bunch of auto tracking enabled with bank syncs, AI categorization, and you really just review the charts. So you see what you spend. There's no real philosophy or mindset behind it. You can set up categories, you can set up rules, you can set up warnings and goals and all that. But in reality, it's more of the AI doing the work and putting it in the right buckets for you so that you can see, pretty charts. And then you have the middle category, which is log it yourself. This is the most friction, and it's actually the feature. It's the EveryDollar free tier specifically. So just to give you guys some idea, the YNAB, Monarch, and Copilot all are on paid plans. EveryDollar has both a paid plan and a free tier that's always free. So there's no upsell involvement. Well, they'll probably upsell you to the paid plan, but there is a 100% free tier available there. And the idea in this free tier is that everything is manual. There is no categorization, intelligent routing, all that stuff. And also there is no bank syncs. So everything you do is pure budgeting. It's pretty intense. And we'll kind of go through the different philosophies here to see if maybe this might actually be better for some users. Let's talk about zero-based budgeting, also known as the envelope system. Every dollar has a job. So the goal at the end of the month is that every single dollar is assigned. No unassigned money is left. So essentially you have a known paycheck value. This gets a little bit tricky if you run on commission or you have irregular paychecks. However, in theory, you still should be able to average that out and divide your paycheck at the start of the month into your budget. These are your categories. You can obviously customize these both in the traditional envelope system by just writing on an envelope, or obviously with these new budgeting apps, you can actually create these categories in the app themselves, 100% customizable. And the idea is that you funnel money into these categories at the start of the month, and before the month even starts, you're left at 0, so that as you get paid, you know exactly where your money goes. If there is overages, there's some flagging involvement. If there's underfunding, ideally this envelope rolls over to the next month. And there's logic and routing and philosophies amongst that. This is a very high level review of what this system entails. Although both of these apps kind of follow the same philosophy at the highest level, in the actual implementation they're a little bit different. So YNAB is seen more as the flexible coach. You're allowed to move money as money comes in and adjust. So it's based more on forgiveness. So let's say you have this example where you spend more money on groceries than you should have. You budgeted 400, you spent 480, you're over by 80. In YNAB's philosophy, you could just move money from, let's say, your fund money over to the groceries, and this will still stay true, and you'll still be at zero. In YNAB, it's fine. The system is working. You're tracking your money. Every dollar has a job. You're okay. In EveryDollar's philosophy, Ramsey philosophy, your budget broke and you need to tighten up. So essentially, this is more punishing, and it's really meant for those folks that really need that rigor. Dave Ramsey is a well-known, podcaster. He has a media channel. He has a bunch of products. He sells books. He's helped millions of people get out of debt with this very strict philosophy. Envision it as a strict parent, and the app essentially modeling that behavior. It really enforces compliance, whereas YNAB, you're making your best effort to kind of be on track before the month starts. If stuff happens where you need to move money from the fund category to the groceries, or from the car fund into the groceries, you can without really having any repercussions, as long as, of course, you're left with zero. All right, so this is EveryDollar free. We talked about how this is paying intentionally. Every single transaction, every receipt, every debit card purchase, every credit card purchase, you'll have to type it in manually inside the EveryDollar ledger. There is no bank syncing, 100%. You get unlimited categories, syncing funds, and splits. So everything you need to make it work. But envision this as essentially Excel sheets, or an upgraded version of like back in the day when you had to manually balance your checkbook. It's very tedious, and that is done on purpose. One of two folds. Either you need the discipline, you need to be able to reconcile every single transaction in order to build up that practice, or it might be a way to funnel you into the paid plan. So depending on who you ask, this is unnecessarily difficult. It's the method that everyone quits, and oddly enough, it's the one that teaches you the most. So if you're swipe happy, if you are subscription happy, if you are just spending out of control and you have to reconcile 20 transactions a day, doing it manually may just allow you to have a moment of hesitation whenever you're going to swipe your card. This essentially becomes a skill you practice, and it's not a service you buy. That's why this is free. And then we have the third philosophy, which is the one where the app watches, you review. Your bank sends the transactions into Monarch and Copilot. These are probably the two most popular ones, and we'll talk about why here shortly. There is an aggregator that collects all that data, and then ideally, if you set it up correctly, you have auto categorization. So whenever you go out to eat, it recognizes that it's going out money, and it puts it in that category that you set up. If it's like a utility bill, it knows to put in the bill. If it's a subscription service, it does the same thing. This does not rely on the zero budgeting system intentionally. So this allows you to kind of spend as you want. And essentially this categorization helps you put stuff into categories and then shows you really fancy charts. Monarch essentially Mint done right. Mint was very popular because it was one of the first to come out with these kind of features. It's very flexible, it's built for couples, and it works pretty much everywhere, including app and web. Copilot is Apple. It's $95 a year. No Android intentionally. Linux and Android are web app only, whereas like if you were on Mac or an iPhone, you can actually leverage the app itself. So this is more of an ideology where you don't want to be bogged down by a budgeting system, but you do want to have that reflection time to be able to see how you're spending your money. These two apps, Monarch and Copilot, are the better choice for you. And here's kind of how you make that decision. Do you want to control it? Do you want to have your paycheck budgeted out before you get the money to ensure that you are in compliance? If so, YNAB and EveryDollar are your choice. If you want to feel every single transaction, really struggle with the pain of budgeting intentionally, then EveryDollar free is your choice. If you want to watch it and you've quit every single other app that you tried budgeting with, and you really like maybe Mint before it was end of life, Monarch and Copilot are your choice. Obviously, the pricing between YNAB and EveryDollar and Copilot Monarch are actually very similar for the yearly plans. They all offer yearly and monthly plans with significant savings at the yearly plan. It's pretty ironic that they're charging money for a budgeting app. However, being in charge of your money over time will allow you to save money in the long run. So YNAB claims that it allows them to save, for example, like $6,000 a year on average by practicing budgeting methodologies that they encourage. It's really not the apps that are at fault here. It's people that are at fault, and this decision will help you not be part of that category of people that end up budgeting and then quit. Now, some important things to note. Syncs break. They will. It's important to note that most of these apps are now pretty mature, whereas the syncing mechanism allows you to just re-authenticate and you'll be fine. However, there is different aggregator services that are currently available on different platforms. So if you have any of the major banks, Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, US-based banks, most likely all of these apps will have some kind of integration that allow you to sync without any issues. If you have smaller, less known local rural banks, most likely Monarch will be your best bet in terms of availability. Then comes YNAB. Plaid is one of the most popular providers and it's available on all four. It has by far essentially almost all the major banks plus like Venmo and all the different HSA accounts, investment accounts. It's actually a really good service. There's some controversy about giving your data to Plaid, but that's a different video for a different day. Monarch actually allows you to switch between providers so that if you're having a lot of disconnects and syncing issues, you can switch over. By far, my experience with Monarch has been that it's rarely failed. If anything, it might just allow me to re-authenticate and everything just kind of starts working where it kind of previously left off. Second most popular one was YNAB, and I actually switched from YNAB to Monarch for a period of time because the syncing was broken on YNAB. I switched over to a local credit union. The credit union did not actually allow the Plaid sync to work correctly. It kept disconnecting. MX wasn't available at the time, so I transitioned to Monarch and it worked just fine. However, this is more commentary than anything, but I did not enjoy the methodology of Monarch. This is a video for y'all, so let's continue with that. Copilot is only available for US accounts. So that's one of those things where if you are outside the US, immediately this is not an option for you. And then EveryDollar, again, has Plaid with the MasterCard backup, public bank status page. I do like that they have the banks published ahead of time. All these other ones, you'll have to sign up for a free trial, try to configure the budget, try to configure your account, and see if it works. And then you kind of have to have some confidence that the sync will continue to work even after you sign off, after you give it some runway. Obviously, there is a EveryDollar manual tier. Nothing's connected, so nothing ever breaks. It's also the only option, the free tier, where you never see a bank login. So if you're concerned about privacy, then check out EveryDollar's manual tier, because obviously there's no connection required there. You're still giving up information to the company, as you're sharing, but at least you don't connect with a third-party service that does all the aggregation of your budget. Let's talk about mobile apps, because most people do budget on the go. Whenever you're at the grocery store, convenience store, you go out shopping to Best Buy or wherever you go, you might want to look to see how much money you have in XYZ category. It's really important to have a good iPhone or Android app. Worst case scenario, you need to use the web. It's really important that you have those options. Obviously, all of them are web-based, so this checks the box for all of them. YNAB and Copilot by far have the best ratings on the App Store. It's crazy that Copilot intentionally does not have an Android app, so if you do have an Android phone, this might be a deal breaker, while the web app is a little weak. This is according to reviews. I've only used it a few times. I've mainly dealt with the iOS app, which I will say is pretty great. Monarch, Apple and Android were great. I've used those on myself. No issues there. And then a little bit weak on EveryDollar on the Android app. So overall, I think we're at a point where budgeting has matured quite a bit. This used to be the weak point for budgeting For example, YNAB for a while did not even have a web app. So sorry, I did not have a mobile app, so you had to deal with web only. After the mobile apps were released, they were actually pretty bad. So YNAB struggled to survive for a while on the web app stuff because there was a lot of missing features. Using this recently, I switched back from Monarch to YNAB. It's great. Zero complaints. Everything's integrated. Super sleek, super clean, on par with these other providers. So really, it's a vibe check. If you are looking at YNAB, you like the coaching aspect of it. It is a cult. It's 100% a cult. There's an entire learning curve to it. I would say it's very easy to get started, and then it ramps up fairly quickly, and then it gets really easy again. EveryDollar is a strict parent. Rules first, guardrails everywhere. Your goal is to stay within the lines of the budget, and breaking those rules will cost you a bunch of red markers everywhere. The Monarch ideology is a grown-up spreadsheet, calm, whole picture, couple friendly. If you really like graphs, especially like network trackers and over time comparisons, pretty charts, Monarch is great. If you want to upgrade that to the next level, look at Copilot. It's budgeting as if it were an Apple product. It's that sleek, really well done. And honestly, if you have a significant other that is struggling to get into budget, Copilot might be a nice way to funnel them into it. Not only does it automate a lot of those features that are really tedious in this zero-based budgeting system up here, but it gives them a lot of pretty charts, which you can share with each other. So this is a good entry point for those that want to kind of start budgeting, that never have budget, or to just get your significant other on board. Here's a wild card. There is this GitHub project called Tally Money, tallyai.money. It actually takes your CSV imports, runs them through plain text, and provides spending reports. There is no database, there is no cloud service, it's just a file on your computer that you takes control. It's $0, it's MIT open source, has really good ratings on GitHub as of right now, 1.2k stars. It does use AI, either Cloud Code, Copilot, or Codex, but it uses that to write the rules themselves, not analyze your actual CSV exports. So it's great because you can actually use AI to write the rules get processed, you generate a report. The only thing required is a terminal, no bank login ever, and that's really the price. It's built by David Fowler. I'll link down below if you want to check that out. I tried it out. It's actually really, really good. It is a little tedious having to write all those rules initially, and it's not as flexible when it comes to new unknown transactions coming in. It does its best, however, it is more tedious. If you have a very consistent budget that you kind of process every month, this might be a good alternative for you, and it's pretty cool because it's open source. And lastly, the human layer. So the method sticks better when someone budgets with you, whether you be with people like a community or with a couple significant other. Monarch is really built for couples. Partners are free. You have a one household dashboard, so this is really catering to that philosophy of budgeting together. YNAB has YNAB together. You share up to 5 people, which is pretty crazy. One subscription covers all of them. I'm able to share with my significant other without any issues, and they're able to see the budgets and even create their own budgets if they want to use it on their personal accounts. EveryDollar has a household invite spouse, own login, just you two. So this works as well, similar to Monarch, where you're able to do it for couples. YNAB by far is the most generous with this. And then Copilot is single player first. This is the finished sharing story. So not ideal, requires separate services, and sharing is not really a part of the system. As of now, at least. This might change. This is all subject to change. And then the communities. This really matters because nothing's worse than trying to use a budgeting app and you can't figure out what you're doing wrong in the app. Having a good community, workshops, courses is really important. And by far, YNAB has the biggest Reddit community. They have a ton of free recordings on YouTube. There's a ton of people adopting it on YouTube. Almost every scenario that you can possibly run into has probably been shared in some fashion, either through video, audio, or article post somewhere. Monarch is growing. They have a really active community. They do have advisors and coaches that can join your board. So this really is kind of the bougie version of this. This is more of the DIY version, like go figure it out. And this is like, oh yeah, let me bring someone aboard that will help you. And then the whole Ramsey Machine Group coaching and premium, you get the entire support of the Ramsey ecosystem, and it's on par with YNAB with a bunch of upsells. So plenty of resources there, including on their website. I would say less public facing than YNAB, so you'll have to do some research on paid courses versus paid advisory service, etc., etc. And then by far Copilot is the smallest community out there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. 3 buckets, 3 philosophies, 4 apps. Pick the one that relates most. As I shared earlier, I'm currently on YNAB. I've tried EveryDollar, I've tried Monarch, I've tried Copilot. Copilot is so sleek. Monarch is really good about some of the automation rules and some of the dashboarding. EveryDollar is just simple and strict for those that need it. And YNAB, I think, is all around, in my opinion, the best app for my specific use case. But yeah, take a look. I'll go ahead and share all the links for these apps. Note that none of these are sponsored, so I have no affiliate links below. This is all my personal opinion based off my research and deep diving into each of these apps. I'll also have the Tally special guest GitHub account as well down there for you to review if you want to take a look at that one. And I'll also post these slides down below. All right, that's pretty much it. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Thanks.